Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, TGIF. Hopefully you're seeing this on a Friday. I'm recording on Thursday, and y'all, this story is good. Okay, I was gonna actually record tomorrow, but I'm like, I need to record tonight because I want to get this out at a good time tomorrow, because baby, this story is good. I was excited. I was like, I can't even wait. Let me just go ahead and record now so I can try to get this out as early as possible for tomorrow. Okay, but TGIF, I hope you guys are having a good Friday and looking forward to the weekend. While you're here, go ahead and show your girl some love by liking the video and hitting subscribe if you're feeling the vibe, period. Those interested in remote work, by the time you watch this video, my non-phone Fridays video should be posted. I post that on my personal channel every week, to where I have non-incoming call-based remote positions that I post on my personal channel for those looking for remote work, plus vlogs, all that kind of stuff is on my personal channel. So I will link that in the comments below. Y'all, today's story. I ain't gonna lie, this was really unexpected. I just ran across it when I was actually working, you know, because I like to watch videos, listen to stuff when I'm working. And y'all, when I tell you, I ain't gonna lie, this is probably one of the best stories I've heard in a long time. And those who love long stories, baby, those who love long stories, this is for you. Okay, go ahead and get your popcorn, because this video is probably going to be a little longer, but it'll start you perfectly right for the weekend. There is a girl who met a Haitian man. She didn't even know his background up front. Okay, she dated him, he became her baby daddy, and she learned over the course of her relationship, through unfortunate, crazy situations and circumstances, that he was putting something on her. Like, she changed within the relationship, y'all. I don't want to tell too much details. I want you to watch it, so go ahead and watch it, because y'all, it's a lot we need to cover in regards to this. So go ahead and watch it, and then I will be back with my commentary.
That time that I had Juju put on me, or let alone a spell, in this case it was a love spell, a controlling spell, in a bunch of other things, right? I was the age of 19 all the way up into the age of 25, and even after I left, the Juju did not fall off right away. It took another 7 to 8 years to completely get it off of me. Let's talk about it. 2007, I had my first child, and so I did not want my son to grow up in Illinois, because I grew up in Illinois and I know how rough it can be. And I know, right? If you grew up in Illinois, then you fucking know. So I decided to move to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, just to get a different, scenery, because I had been in Illinois most of my life. And I just really I really don't like home. I've never been a person to be like, oh my God, I don't really like home. So I left at 18 with a newborn baby, no plan, no nothing, moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin with my sister. And yeah, 2008, I am on my job that I have been working on for over a year, and I meet this guy. I am 19 at the time, and he is 25. I want to say 25. He might have been turning 26, but I want to say he was 25 and I was 19. Boom. So his way of flirting with me is talking stuff to me every single day, just trying to get my attention. Boom, boom, bop, bam. I didn't know much about him. I don't know much about anybody in Wisconsin, because I'm not from there, right? So by this time, my son is 1. So we ended up talking. We ended up making it official, I want to say 6 months after that. Yeah, 6 months after that, which would be now in 2009, right? And we hit it off, because he seems like he was a very charming, he was an opening the door type of guy. He was the taking me out and courting me. Like, we went a lot of places. He showed me around Wisconsin, like a lot. Like, we went out a lot in the beginning. At least within the first 2 years, we went out a lot, right? No, I'm not even gonna say within the first 2 years. I can't even tell you the first two. I'm gonna say the first year plus the 6 months, we went out a lot. So from 2008 to 2010, we went out a lot. So in 2010, we moved in together. This is the beginning, if not, 2010, we moved in together. And so within that time frame, I get pregnant, and I'm pregnant. Okay. I remember telling him, and he was like, I can't have another baby. Now, at the time, from my understanding, he only had one child, another son, that I never really seen. I never really, these are all red flags. Don't judge me. I'm just saying, I was a fucking baby. I had no idea. There was no business. I had no business being outside. Okay. But I know for sure that he told me about one son. So he didn't have a lot of kids. He wasn't like, not that I know of to be ran through. I don't know, much about him because, like I said, I'm not even from this city. I don't really know much, right? But I know he had one son, but I remember him asking me to get an abortion. I was like, no, because I don't believe in abortions, right? And about 3 years ago, I had just had my first child. Yeah, 2010, 2007, yeah, 3 years ago, I had just had my first child. And trust me, I was not out here trying to get pregnant. I got pregnant on birth control. I was on a depot. Do not rely on it. It's absolutely unreliable. Don't do it. Now, to remind you, I told you this guy was opening doors, courting me. We went out to eat a lot. We took a lot of like staycations, that kind of thing. Y'all, I remember I had to go to the hospital to confirm my pregnancy because I took the pregnancy test and it said I was pregnant. But he went to the hospital with me to confirm the pregnancy. And I promise you, as soon as we had confirmation in like that there was a baby here, when we left the hospital, the guy that used to open doors for me did not open the door for me. Like, this shit started immediately, right? So at this time, I don't know if the spell was on me at that time. I'm not even gonna hold you. It probably was not. That was probably would have been a smooth getaway, but I didn't know. Now, to give context to what kind of relationship this was, and now that I'm looking back on it, all of these were red flags. But you have to understand that I come from a very super, super Christian background. That's how I grew up. And I believe that if I didn't believe in witchcraft, then it couldn't get me. I believe that because I had a praying mother that I just couldn't be touched in the spiritual realm. Those are lies. Depends on who the hell you're going up against. But those, my dear, lies. And I did not believe in voodoo. I've heard stories about voodoo and people putting spells on people. I've heard stories because my mom told me stories, right? But I don't know what it looks like, sound like, look like. I didn't know you weren't supposed to eat people food or let people clean up your house and none of this stuff. So let me give you the context of this relationship. I never cooked. In the 5 years that we were together, I never cooked. He never allowed me to cook. I never cleaned up the house. He never allowed me to clean up the house. Now looking back and knowing what I know to be true about witchcraft, all of these are fucking red flags. Every last single one of them. So he cooked a lot of things that had red sauce. He cooked it. He used certain type of herbs on purpose. And like I said, I knew nothing about his background or his ethnicity. Girl, I can't even talk. Ethnicity. Come to find out after I got pregnant and I get to meet the mom and the sister, I found out they were Haitian. He has no accent. None. I remember being pregnant and his mom did not want me with him, like at all. But by the time she told me to take off and fucking run, I was already about 7 to 8 months. He had been cooking my food for the last year. I'm long the fuck gone, right? And at this time, I still had no idea. His mother did not just come out and say anything of the sort. I hadn't, spoken to my family in over a year. I hadn't seen my mom, haven't seen my nieces, my nephews. I have 8 siblings. I haven't heard or seen anything. They don't have my number. They don't have my address. They don't know where I'm at. So I'm the only person I 100% have is him. Now, let me tell you the hell he put me through in this goddamn pregnancy. Let's talk about that. Around 8 months, right? And by this time, we are going to the doctor more frequently. And then I had a high-risk pregnancy. I was put on bed rest at like 6 months. I had a high-risk pregnancy. So I was going to the doctor a lot. So, we was getting peps and doing getting blood drawn, all that type of stuff. I remember I came back with an STD. I was like 7.5, maybe 8 months pregnant. And I asked him about it. Matter of fact, I didn't have to ask him about it because he was in a room. And he straight up lied and said, he don't know how I got it. Like, this is an STD. He don't know how I got it. Still to this day, if I was ever to contact him, he would take this shit to the grave. Red flag number 157. So where did it just drop out of the sky? Because I can't go anywhere. I don't have any friends. I sit in the house. You have access to all of the money. You have access to, I don't even have a house key at this point. Now, before y'all judge me, I want y'all to understand something. I was 20 at the time. Yeah. I had my second son. By the time I had my second son, I was turning 21. I was 20 at the time. I was still a baby. I shouldn't have had my ass outside. I shouldn't have been outside. There is a part 2 to this. You got to go on my page to get it though. Because here's part 2. It gets worse. Now listen, at the time, mentally, I saw nothing wrong with him having my debit card plus his debit card, me not having a house key. He didn't want me to have a house key because he didn't want me to leave while he wasn't there and I couldn't lock the door, right? I'm looking back at this now, but at this time, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I was not in my right mind. I barely even recognized myself. Like, I was completely having an out-of-body experience. It was almost like the fucking sunken place. It was almost like that, right? Like, I found nothing wrong with this at all. Knowing now that he's habitually cheating on me, even with the girls at the job, because by this time I had been put on bed rest, so I couldn't go back to work, but people would like call my phone. I found out he was like doing all this stuff with the girls on the job, all type of stuff. Like, none of this stuff made me leave him at all. It was like I couldn't leave. I don't know what the fuck it was. Well, now I know what it is, but I couldn't leave. Like, I couldn't pack up my son and I and go back to Illinois because my mom would have gladly opened her door to me, right? So, boom. Around January, no, matter of fact, this is December of 2010, I remember the sheriff showing up to our door. Guess what for? Yeah, we were being evicted. I had no idea because, like I said, I didn't check the mail, y'all. I didn't have access to none of this shit. And so I remember, like, in Wisconsin, they usually put like a pink tab on the door. And because I never left the house and because I really didn't go outside like that, it was easy for him to take that shit off the door and never allow me to see it. So the sheriff shows up the next day. He was at work, supposedly. I don't know what the fuck he was. And they put me and my son, who was 3 at the time, we outside. We getting put outside in the snow in December in Wisconsin. It's cold as fuck. I'm 9 months pregnant. Okay, my due date was January 3rd. This is the end. This is the end of December, right? I'm due any day. I can go into labor any motherfucking time. He was nowhere to be found. He usually gets off work at like 6. He was supposed to be home by like 6:37. The sheriff comes at like 8. So now I'm walking around the apartment complex, or just walk, because I don't have access to the car. He has the car. He has everything. I'm walking around trying to find somebody, you know what I'm saying, phone to use, all of this type of stuff. Now, because I have to leave and go search and find somebody, because I didn't even have a phone at the time. So because I had to leave and go search around to see, because I knew he was friends with a lot of people in the apartment complex, so I'm searching their house and did this. So I'm leaving. So I had to leave my stuff out there. I had nowhere. I couldn't call. I couldn't do. There was nothing. Okay. So when I left my stuff, I eventually found him. He was over at his friend's house full of bitches and dudes, and he was in there getting high with them, and like, not high, like, but smoking weed. That's what I'm marijuana, that kind of thing. And I told him we had just got put out, so by the time we get back, half of my baby stuff, newborn baby stuff, is gone because people have been going through this stuff. Tragic. Do you understand me? Tragic. And to remind you, I haven't spoken to my family in over a year, well over a year at this point. They have no idea if I'm alive and breathing or not. So we eventually get the stuff that we have left, pack it into the truck, because I had a Jeep at the time. It wasn't even his car. It was fucking my car. He ended up losing his car. I don't know what. I can't even remember what the hell happened to his car, but it was my car, right? We ended up packing what we could into the Jeep and going to his mom's house. And now I am 9 months pregnant and I'm sleeping in his mom's basement. I want you to understand something. None of this was clicking at all. I want you to, none of it. When I tell you that the spell he had me under had me oblivious, I was not in my right mind at all. Like, he had taken full control of everything, and I let him, I guess you can say. Because now looking back, the person I am now, there's no fucking way. There's no way. I run at the sign. So now we are living in his mom's basement. My baby has nothing to come home to, not even a car seat. So we have to borrow, I'm not gonna fucking cry. We have to borrow stuff from his sister, who just so happens to still have some stuff, so I can bring my baby home. And because he didn't even have a car seat at the time, and I think I was able to get, I want to say maybe 10 more outfits and get, like, you know, some diapers and all that type of stuff before I was able to bring him home. Like, yeah, it was fucking horrible. And for me to go from my first pregnancy and having absolutely everything that he needed, for me, like, I felt so bad. I felt so fucking bad. But now I am, I go to the doctor on the 3rd, which is my due date, January 3rd of 2011. And they tell me that they had to induce me because I think my blood pressure was high. So they induced me. I ended up having my son on the 5th of January. And yeah, this is when all the bullshit happens. So the upside to this is that tax season is in January. So after I have him and I not go home, but go back to his mom's basement. This is probably where my son gained chronic asthma, at being in the fucking basement the first 1.5 months of his life. Now the upside to this is taxes was around the corner. So by February I was able to move out, furnish the entire apartment, and, you know, get everything that I needed. But once again, we are out on the other side of town. My sister, I have not spoke to her. I think I called my mom the day that I went into labor, because my sister was also pregnant. So we went into labor on the same day. I got induced. She ended up having my niece on the same day. And I only spoke to them from the hospital though. He was not at the hospital at the time. So I could call home. So I called my mom to tell her that, you know, I was in labor and that kind of thing. So I ended up calling my niece to come up to the hospital with me, because I don't know where the fuck he was at the time, y'all, and why he couldn't drive me to the hospital. I don't know where he was. So I had to call my niece, because I had to be there at a certain time to get induced. I called my niece to come drive me to the hospital. She stayed up there with me. As soon as he got there, he got whiffed that I was being induced. By the time he answered his damn phone and I told him that I was in the hospital, he gets there, he kicks my niece out because he don't want nobody in the room with us while the baby was born. So my niece leaves. Mainly because I asked her to, not because she wanted to, because she didn't give two damns about nothing he had to say. So yeah, now we are in the new apartment. Nothing has changed, y'all. I don't have a key to this house. I don't have a mailbox key. I barely leave the house. Now, this is why I said all hell start breaking loose. This man, in his right mind, this is when the emotional abuse started, after I had my son. And now I'm going through postpartum plus the emotional and mental abuse that he was about to put me through. I had no idea what the fuck was about to happen. So by the time I had my son, we in a new apartment, and I still can't cook. He still doesn't allow me to clean. If you understand Juju and you understand how people get you, it is through certain scents. It is through certain words that are mimicked by why they're cleaning up, things that certain things they put in your food, kind of thing. And it wasn't like that he couldn't cook. He could cook his ass off, like really, really, really cook. I'm talking about for these last 3 years we've been having Thanksgiving at home, not even around his family. Like, he just didn't want nobody around me. He didn't want me outside like that. He didn't want. So I remember after I got off the 6-week maternal thing, I went and got me a job, which means I got me a phone. Now, like I said, all hell start breaking loose. Part 3. I want y'all to know something. As the story goes on, it gets so much worse. So you can judge me all you want to. It is what it is. But this is part 3. Here we go. I am now super, super, super depressed, and I miss my family. I miss my sisters. So, of course, when I get this phone, I call my sisters like, boom, y'all, I'm about to be 22. Y'all want to come up to Milwaukee to come kick it with me for my birthday? Now, let me tell you something. This is how I know that none of this shit was thought out at all. I haven't spoken to them in about 2 years. And I haven't, well, not spoken. Well, yeah, spoken. I haven't spent time with them or seen them face to face in about 2 years at this moment. And I want them to come up here to celebrate my birthday with me. So I give them my address and I let them, I tell them that they can come up and, see me, kick it with me. Now, by the time I told him the day that they were coming up here. I mean, the day that they were coming up to Wisconsin to see me. And he was like, oh, if they there, I'm not coming home. You ain't got to worry about me coming home if they there. Now, in the moment, I never understood this shit. I never understood it. So my sister, who was already in Wisconsin, came to kick it with us, and three of my two sisters from Illinois, plus my aunt and like two other cousins came, right, to come kick it with me for my birthday. And they noticed some shit very fast. Now, let me tell you why this was not thought out. If you know anything about my sisters, I'm their baby sister. Okay? I didn't think this through. I did not think this through. Okay. I just didn't think it through. I didn't think it through at all. Remind y'all, I don't have a key to apartment. I don't even have the key to my car. Because the car that he's driving at the time is my car. I do not have my debit card. Y'all, why the fuck did I do this? Oh, here we go. So April of 2011, my siblings, my dear sisters, come up to Wisconsin, and I'm getting dressed. They realize my hair is not done. This is not like me. They realize that my nails are not done. My house is fully furnished. It is super nice, right? I always try to keep a nice house, just to keep up the appearance, right? That everything is going well. But they realize I don't have any clothes, and like I don't even have anything to really wear for my birthday. I'm wearing rundown clothes and that type of thing. But it wasn't even that. You want to know what fucked them up? And had my oldest sister looking at me like, they were like, oh yeah, we about to leave. We get to leave. And I can't go through the door because I can't lock the door because I don't have a key. I can't lock the front door. So guess where I have to go out of? Luckily I was on the first floor. I had to go out of the balcony. And so my sister was like, why you going out of there? What the key to the house? I'm like, he takes the keys to the house. And I'm like, that kind of situation. And I was like, yeah, because he take the key because he got the car. They was like, you ain't got your car either. Like, but don't you got a spare key? Like, why you don't have a spare key? And I'm like, yeah, I just never really thought. They know. I'm trying to make excuses. They know that something is fucking wrong. Now, you have to understand that they ain't seen me the last 2 years. So they came up here on bullshit, probably. They came up there on bullshit. They came up there to see exactly what I've been up to for the last 2 years and why they ain't seen me and why they ain't heard from me. Listen. So the crazy thing is they go along with it. We end up leaving. And then we get to the club and I realize it's past 11. So we have to pay to get into Club Envy after 11. And I don't have any money because I don't have my debit card. So the same sister that asked me why I was leaving out of the balcony and where my car and why I don't have keys and the same one, she was like, where's your debit card? Why didn't you bring your debit card? I'm like, oh, well, he has my debit card. She said, what? Why does he have your... Y'all, so my other sister ended up paying for me. And by this time, he was texting me like, hey, if they there, when I get there, don't expect me to come in the house. I won't be back home until tomorrow. And I knew in my head that if I allowed them to stay there, that he was going to use that moment to like tear me down in some kind of way, whether it be emotional, mental. And at this point, I didn't even know if it was going to get to the physical part, but I was scared. I was terrified. So we in the club, we doing, whatever it is at the time, and kicking it. But my older sister sit in the corner. When I mean she pissed, because by this time I'm like, oh, y'all can't stay at my house because he said he not gonna come home. Y'all, looking back at this was the dumbest shit I could ever did, but it's probably the one thing that freed me and how I was able to get away. So my older sister's in the corner. She pissed. She really ready to go. Now we are in here drinking. We are in here, having a good time. We're trying to have a good time. And my other sister and my cousins, they in there, like trying to ignore it. But my oldest sister, she ain't having it. Like, y'all, she pissed the entire time. So I remember we leaving the club, and they thought that I was lying about they can't stay at my house. And they was like, y'all, like, girl, we drunk. So you gonna have us drive an hour back to Illinois? All because... Now listen, my sister like, I don't give a damn, he ain't gotta come home. But we not driving. So I literally made them get on the highway and drive home after being drunk. And it is 2:30 in the morning. And I made them get on the highway because I was so scared that if he was not able to come to his house, which was technically mine because I was paying everything, by this time I was paying everything. And so I put them out. We ended up getting into it. And I put them out and I made them drive all the way back to Illinois. Now, I'm going to remind you again, I saw nothing wrong with any of this at the time. And this is still only the middle of the story. It gets deeper. It gets worse. It gets so much worse. It gets so much worse. So, of course, he waits until after they leave to come home. Now, put this in the context. They ain't never seen this man face to face. They've never even heard his voice. He never took pictures. He wasn't like, he was on the internet, but he wasn't like picture taking internet. He wasn't an internet type of guy. But like if I go to like try to look at old pictures, try to find pictures that he took with my son's body was always in front of his face. I don't have a picture of this man at all. Like, he just don't take pictures. Rule number 1 of Juju, you know why they don't take pictures. I never knew this. I never fucking knew any of this, y'all. I did not know. So, no, still to this day, I don't have a picture of this man. Like, if I needed to show my son a picture of him, I'm going to tell him to go look in the damn mirror. But I don't have a picture still to this day. He was never a picture taking person, and I know why now. But fast forward. We on the story where my sisters have to drive home. Now, let me tell you something about them driving home. If you don't know anything about my story or who my mother and my father is, and you probably don't know who my mother and my father is, but they not to be messed with, right? They hold a certain rank in the city that I'm from, and this was just not I did not think this through. So of course they go home and they tell my mother everything. Mama, she had to sneak out. Basically, she had to go out of the balcony door because she didn't have a car. She didn't have a key. She didn't have her debit card. Boom, 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 bop, bam. Now they have my address now. Okay. So the next day, my mom who's on probation at the time because she's fighting a drug charge. Who's on probation at the time because she's fighting a drug case. She's now in Wisconsin. And I lived in a building where you had to be buzzed in. The door was locked on the outside. So she's buzzing and I ask, who is this? Because don't nobody come to my house. He don't let nobody come over and I don't leave. So I done fucked up big time. So my mom is outside of my apartment building, banging on the door at this point because I'm not opening it. He's here. She just popped up. To remind you, I'm going to tell you again, they never seen his face. They never heard his voice. They never heard anything of him. My mom is banging on the door. And I'm like, if I don't open this door, she's going to kick it down. And then she's going to run to my apartment because my sister is with her. My sister is with her to show exactly where. I know how she got there. And guess which sister brought her up there? The one who was pissed the entire night when we was in the club. Like, she was already setting it up in her head. Y'all. So eventually I have to open the door and I let her in. Now, he has locked himself in the bedroom. Locked himself in the bedroom. I let my mom in. She comes in. She looks around, y'all. And the way she looked, you have to know my mom in order. She opened that purse up and get that holy oil out, and she just get to hitting the walls with it. She said, I can feel him in here. That's what she kept saying. She said, I can feel him in here. I can feel him in here. She said, where he at? I said, what? What are you? I said, he not here. And then she looks, y'all, the way she looked down the hallway, it was like a damn horror film. She looked down the hallway like, and walks down the hallway to the door. Now, I just told this woman that he wasn't here. She said, no, he here. I can feel him in here. She tries to knock this door off of the hinges. Now, my mom is not a, small woman. She's a very strong woman, okay? I've seen her beat up dudes. She tries to break this door down, y'all. She couldn't get this damn door down to save her life. My sister is now helping her trying to get the door open. They could not break down this door to say, I don't know what that door was holding on to, but baby, it looked like, I'm going to tell you what it looked like. I'm going to tell you what it was. He was doing what he does on the other side of that door, and my mom was on the other side of the door, and she was going to war. So they was going to war with each other. So that door was being held by, I'm going to say it, something spiritual. I don't know, but she couldn't get the door down. So eventually she ended up just forgetting it, right? And she came back into the living room. Now, my newborn, he's still a newborn, y'all. This is April of 2011. My son is about 3 months. She flipped the damn cover back off my baby's face and looked at me and looked down at the baby, my baby. And she was like, all right, I know what I need to do. She said, so you just gonna let him? She said, why don't you have a key? Where's your debit card? She said, where are your car key? What is going on? And so me, her, and my sister, we getting into it. And I'm like, y'all know what, y'all need to leave, get out of my house. So eventually she leave, because I'm finna tell you something. My mom is on probation. She's not supposed to be crossing any borders. So eventually they leave, and she was like, I'm leaving. She said, but I'll be back. It gets worse. So they end up leaving. And once he realizes that they are gone, he comes out of the room and he starts to belittle me in the worst way possible, which makes me feel like horrible, right? Now, these are the beginning stages of the emotional and mental abuse. So I'm still very confused because, like I said, when I first met this dude, he was very charming, super attractive. Like, it ain't like he was an ugly dude. He wasn't an ugly dude. Nice ass body, perfect teeth. Okay, could dress his ass off, could cook his ass off. Like, he had everything going for himself, except for the fact that I did not know that this nigga was Haitian and his religion of choice was voodoo. I had no idea. Even at this time, my mama just came in there and she's like, I can feel him in here. I thought the lady had gone mad. I thought that the lady was fucking crazy. And so by this time, they have my phone number because, remember, I called my sisters to let them know to come up to Wisconsin to celebrate my birthday. So they have my phone number. So by this time, my mom is calling me when she gets back to Illinois and, basically just asking me questions and all these type of things. And I'm like, Mom, I'm fine. I'm not being abused, and definitely being fucking abused. Might not be physical, but definitely mental and verbally and all of the other stuff. It's definitely that. So make a long story short, I ended up blocking my mother. So she ended up calling my sister who was in Wisconsin, asking her why she ain't in all of this stuff. And my sister that's in Wisconsin, she like, look, I ain't seen her in the same amount of time y'all ain't seen her. She just stopped coming around. And I just didn't want to, have anything to do with it. Now, my sister's in Wisconsin. She saw him because we all worked at the same place. But she didn't see him that often. Like, that was the one and only time she saw him was when they was at work together. Eventually, my sister started working there. So she was the only person still to this day in my family that seen him face to face. No, because later on in the story, I'm going to tell you that my other sister ended up meeting him, and it was off the it gets worse. It gets even crazier how he's able to I don't know who the hell, I don't know, but it gets crazier. So my sister tells me that my mom is calling CPS, Child Protective Services, to come get my children from me because I'm being abused and I'm being held hostage, and all of these things were true. Looking back on it, all of these things were true. Definitely was being held hostage, kind of, in a way, because he wouldn't allow me to do anything without him. I couldn't go places without. It was fucking crazy. So I ended up, my baby daddy ended up talking me into calling my mom's PO to say that, hey, she not even supposed to be out here anyway. Ain't she fighting a case right now? Ain't she on probation? She shouldn't be here no way. So he talked me into calling her PO, and I called her PO, and they went and arrested my mom. Now, before you go judge me, I told you that the shit gets worse. That it gets really, 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 really bad. So now, fast forward to August, my grandfather gets sick. He has cancer, and this is the man who raised me. Right? This is the man who raised me 100%. And I realized that I remember he let me talk to my granddad. And my granddad told me, I was like, well, you know, I'll be there. I know you're going to be all right. Because my granddad was a tough cookie, right? He was a tough dude. And my granddad told me, no, not this time, black girl. And within a week, my granddaddy was gone. I remember him picking me up from work and telling me that my granddad had just passed. Because I was on my way down there. He was going to let me go down there for that. But of course, he wasn't going to go with me, right? So I ended up, not making it to see my granddad before he passed. So fast forward, we go to the funeral. He did not come down there with me. My niece had to drive me down there. I go bury my granddad. All of this stuff is still going on in the middle of this. I want you to know how awkward it was when I went to my granddad's funeral. So, of course, they see me and they don't want me to go back to this. But I couldn't stay. I was only there to bury my granddad, and I got right back on the highway. I couldn't stay. I couldn't stay. In my mind, I couldn't stay. And then you have to understand, my kids were still in Wisconsin with him, so I had to go back. So I left and went back to Wisconsin, and this is still going on. But what happens after this is what made me realize something was very, very, very wrong. And what happened was, in the same house that my mom was throwing holy oil and blessing all these walls and these entrances and these doorways and all of this stuff, I started to have nightmares. The nightmares started to become so fucking real and so vivid that I couldn't tell the difference between reality versus the dream world. And I started to have real live demon encounters. They were attacking me in my sleep. They were attacking me when I was awake. Okay? In the process of this, right? By this time, it is 2012. My son is now 1. He is walking. He is doing the weirdest shit, y'all. I would put him in his playpen, he would get out, but he would do weird shit, like stand at my door in the middle of the night and just stand there. Don't move. Have you ever woke up and saw a baby's fucking figure in your door just standing there, not moving, not talking, not nothing, just sitting there watching? Just weird, crazy shit was going on in this apartment. And I was like, okay, something is in here, so I want to move. So we ended up moving. I want you to understand something. I remember I couldn't take my son to the grocery store without him having episodes. He was so terrified to see other people other than me and his dad and his brother. He I don't know what he had on my son either, because you have to understand that we were all eating the same food. We were all smelling the same amount of scents and the same thing. We were all up under the same thing, right? Which I don't know. I don't think it was just a love spell. It was also a controlling spell. It was also, I didn't have the ability to think for myself at all. Cause if you knew me prior, then you would know that I would literally, I was a girl at 17 years old, pregnant. And when I found out the baby daddy didn't want nothing to do with it, I didn't sweat him at all. I let him do whatever he wanted to do. I was never the woman to sweat or beg a man for anything. I didn't care. Right. And I knew I was very mature and very, wise for my age. If I wouldn't sweat my last baby daddy, damn well, I wouldn't be so it was totally 100% an out of body experience. I was not myself at all. So my baby is acting fucking weird at 1. I can't take him outside because he don't like being outside. And he screams every time he sees somebody like somebody is attacking him. It was the craziest in the world. And so by this time, after the demons that attacked me, it was about 4 of them. I was wide awake in the house and they attacked me, and I was in there, y'all, fighting for my damn life. Now, I am not this person. I'm a church girl, but like I said, I've never had encounters like this. I'd never seen it with my own 2 eyes. And you have to understand, I wasn't in church no more. He didn't allow me to go to church, and there was absolutely no way in hell I could bring a Bible in my house. I was out of church this entire time because he just didn't do it. Of course, well, we know why now, but I wasn't in church this entire time, and he did not allow me to speak of Jesus, God, nothing of the sort. Nothing. And definitely not bringing no fucking Bible in his house. It was frowned upon. So the only thing I can think to do, because at the time I did have a cell phone. By the time we moved, I did have a cell phone. I called my mom. I don't know who else to call. My granddad is gone. The only person I know who could figure out what the hell is going on with me is my mama. I called my mom and I tell her what's going on. And she said, baby, listen, when I came up there last year, she said, I felt them in there. She said, I've seen people under spells a multitude of times, because my mom is from the South. So she knew what it looked like. She knew what it felt like. My mom was a spiritual gangbanger. Okay, she was a spiritual gangbanger. Demons, like I'm almost certain that demons would tremble when her feet hit the ground in the morning, because they weren't gonna win. So she was like, I've been praying this entire time. She said, but she said, when one or two are gathered. So she was like, do you have a Bible? I said, no, he won't let me get a Bible. She said, you need to find a way to get a Bible in the house. So I went to Half Price Books and got a King James Version Bible. My mom started sending me scriptures. Now I would have to go into my phone and delete all of this stuff, and I would have to like hide the Bible up underneath something, right? So I remember my mom started sending me scriptures out of Psalms. Every scripture she ever sent me was out of Psalms. Now I can't tell you which all ones, but 23, 91, I want to say like 43 or 47, some of them, but they were all out of Psalms, right? So she was like, I need you to read these absolutely every single day, right? She also tells me to do other things, and she was like, who cooks in the house? I said, he cooks. He's been cooking for the last four years. At this time, 19, 20, 21, 22, I was 23 at the time. So it's been about 5 years. I said, for the last 5 years, he's been cooking. I don't cook, and he don't let me clean either. She said, okay, so that's how he getting you. And I'm like, Mama, what is going on? She was like, baby, it's a spell on you. She said, you can't, hell no, I can't tell. I don't know. She said, I'm making you aware. He has a spell on you. She said, and it's more than one. She said, so I need you to, do this. She said, stop eating this food. She said, if you need me to send you money, because my mom was still selling drugs at the time. She said, if you need me to send you money and wire it to you, you can just get it, because I had to leave and go to work. I was working at the time. She was like, you can just go pick it up. So my mama started sending me money. So I wasn't eating the food in the house. I stopped feeding my children the food in the house, and I started just eating out. That's the first thing I did. She said, now, are there any mirrors in there? I said, yeah. She said, do you have a mirror that faces your bed? Because I told you I was having nightmares and real life demon encounters. I said, yeah. She said, take that mirror out of that room today. I'm like, what is going on? So I ended up moving. I didn't take the mirror out of the room, but I took it and I put it, it wasn't facing my bed no more while I slept. So I do that, right? Now I'm just making it seem like I'm just like moving furniture around it. But we had an argument about me moving that mirror from in front of that bed. We had a real live argument. Like, he was pissed. And I'm like, no, I just don't feel comfortable. Did this and that. So another thing she told me, she said, does he like candles and incense and all that? Like, what is the cleaning process? I said, yeah, he always liked incense. Like, always. We have an incense in our house, like lit right now. She said, okay, she said, because you ain't gonna be able to stop him from doing that kind of situation. She said, so we gonna work on these things first. Move the mirrors. She said, stay away from mirrors for right now, and stop eating his food. Did that and was reading the scriptures that she gave me every single day. That's what I did. So I want to cut the story. I'm not cutting it short, but I want to put this in here. So I'm in cosmetology school at this time. I started cosmetology November of 2011. So I'm in school, but I remember it was this one girl in my school, and she would never let me sit next to her, and she would never let me touch her. And I thought the girl was crazy. She said, no, you can't touch me. I don't know what you got on me or what you got on you. She said, but I don't want it. It just came up when I was telling this story. Certain people can see stuff on you if you can't. Like, I didn't know what this girl was talking about, but she would not let me touch her. Later on, afterwards, we became really good, really, really, really good friends. Once I realized that I was being voodooed. But she would not let me touch her. But anyway, back to the story. So I did this for about 6 months. Now, in this time, probably longer than that, because this is probably like January, February. So no, it wasn't even 6 months. My brother was shot in 2012, the 4th of July of 2012. And they didn't know if he was going to make it or not. Now, in between time, I want y'all to understand something. My mom had me reading these scriptures. The mirror was no longer, by this time, it was out of the room, right? And it was, like I was doing the work and I wasn't eating this food. So now I have to go down to Illinois because my brother, they don't know if he's going to make it. So I leave and I take my children with me. Here's where my mama like, boom, this is time to go to work. So I ended up staying down there for like a week, which is more than enough time for my mother. But I ended up I stayed down there for two weeks. I ended up taking 2 weeks off from school because it was a family emergency. My brother was, damn it, he was shot with an AK, and he lost all mobility in his legs. So it was a very difficult time for my family. And this is my big brother, so. Oh, wait a minute, y'all. I skipped something. Let me go back. My brother came home that January of 2012. And y'all, this is why I said I don't know where his intuition or who was speaking to him spiritually or where he got these damn powers from. But I remember, of course, by the time my brother come home from prison, my mom had told him everything that was going on with me. But this was January. I think I called my mom in like February, right? To ask her to help me with these demon encounters. But my brother popped up at my house. But before my brother popped up, this man, he rushed out of nowhere. He was like, oh, I gotta go. And I'm like, what? He was like, I gotta go. I didn't tell him my brother was coming because I didn't even know my brother was coming. Y'all, he left and he went out the back door. As he's leaving out the back door, my brother coming in the front door. So when somebody knock on my door, I'm like, why is he knocking on the door? He literally just left. I opened the door. It's my brother. Now, my brother is about 6 foot. He a big dude, about 240, 260. He a big nigga. Okay. Scared the out of me. He walks in this house, y'all, walk through my house. He's like, where he at? I'm like, he literally just left 2 seconds. You didn't see him go out? He said, I ain't see nobody. Scared me shit because he knew that my brother was coming. And I don't know what feeling he got. Like I said, I don't know who was speaking to him on but he left abruptly. Like we was in the middle of a conversation. He was like, oh no, I gotta go. I'm like, what is wrong? He was like, I just gotta get up out of here. I gotta go. Y'all, he left. As he left out the back door, my brother's coming through the front door of the apartment complex. I still don't understand what the hell happened that day. But back to the story. I had to bring that back and say that because he would know things that was impossible that I didn't even know. Like, how did he know my brother was gonna show up? And he left but he was real adamant on never meeting my family ever. Never meeting my family. Never letting them see his face. Nothing. Like he kept this shit up for 5 years. Do you understand what I'm saying? So boom. My brother was only home for like 6 months before he gets, shot and is paralyzed. So now I'm at home for 2 weeks. My mom gets a hold of my children and she gets a hold of me. Now I went to two church services and Bible study. My mama put me right back in church, but now she has the power. Now she has the time to pray over me and do all of these things. And my mom is not one of those people like she always pray over, like from 2 to 5 a.m. My mom is up pacing the floor of her house, and she did this all the way up until the day she died, praying over her children and her family. That's just what she did. She always did this. I don't know why, but she just always did this. So it wasn't out of the norm, but she was able to bless my forehead and bless pray over my children. So boom, I'm in the middle of cosmetology school. I'm having a very hard time finding a babysitter because he didn't want to watch the kids because he really didn't want me in a cosmetology school. So this is another way with him trying to control the situation. So I'm explaining this to my mom as I'm there. And she was like, the kids can stay here. Go finish school. The kids can stay here. She said, but we're going to have to keep up with these scriptures and you doing everything I'm telling you to do. So my kids never come back with me. They stay with my mom. So I ended up going back after 2 weeks after we get my brother, home from the hospital. He gets through all his surgeries. He ended up surviving. But even in the process of that, my brother just didn't survive because, he's not supposed to be here to this day. I come from a line of praying women. My father's people. Yeah, but my spiritual background, my grandmother grew up on a plantation, but my people are Gullah and Geechee. So, yeah, they came in and they went to war. And I remember the doctor, after they got my brother off the table, he was like, I have no idea how he survived that. He was never supposed to survive. First off, he got shot with an AK. It should have blew his chest out. The bullet went into his spine and flipped. And that's how he ended up being paralyzed, completely. Yeah, and it's been miracle after miracle after miracle since then. But back to the story, right? So my kids end up staying in Illinois with my mom, and I end up going back, and he didn't like that. But at the time, because my mom had got a hold of me, I got a little bit more confidence in myself, and I started to see the pattern. I'm like, something is really wrong. So boom. Now I'm still back at home. I'm still having these demon encounters. So eventually I get out of the room completely. I stopped sleeping in the same bed with him. I started sleeping on the couch. I have a Bible in there. I know that he knows that I have a Bible in there because now I'm not hiding it. When I left Illinois and came back to Wisconsin this time, he knew something was off. He knew, and it was because my mom had got a hold of me, and she was praying that shit up off of me slowly but surely. And I was still reading my scriptures and doing everything I needed to do every day. But I remember the fight over my body between my mom's praying and whatever he had on me. I remember the fight over my body like it was yesterday because I had stopped sleeping in the bed with him. So one day I woke up and he was sitting on the couch at my feet, looking dead at me. Yep. Let me tell you what happened. So, yeah, he's at my feet. And like the paralysis that you get where the only I couldn't breathe, y'all. I couldn't talk. I couldn't move. The only thing I can do was blink. I was wide awake, but I was trying to wake up. And he's sitting at my feet on the couch because I'm not that tall, right? He's sitting at my feet, but he's looking at me. Now, I was asleep this whole time. Why are you sitting here staring at me while I'm asleep? Weird fucking energy, but we already know what it is. So he's at my feet and he's looking at me. But when I'm trying to move, he see me struggling, not breathing, nothing. He's just sitting there looking at me. Baby, I get to praying. And somehow, when I got up out of it, it was like, like it was just getting my damn air back. I remember this shit like it was yesterday. I remember the room I was in. I fucking remember. Y'all, I grabbed that Bible so fast and I put it on my chest and I get up and he stands up with me. He was like, I knew something was off with you. He said, when did you get a Bible? Or, I know your mom probably been sending you scriptures and all that. He said, but, whatever. And I looked at him and I said, I can't say his name. I said, but I finished school in a few more weeks. So I just want to let you know that I'm moving back home. Like, I'm leaving you. I can't do this anymore. And he said, what? Y'all, he breaks down into tears and get down on his knees and everything. And I'm like, I'm holding the Bible right here, y'all. I'm like, no, I can't stay here. I'm not going to stay here. I'm not going to do this. I have to go. He said, I knew when the kids left that I said, I got to go. I'm just here to finish college school and get to my practicals and get my license. And I'm going home. Right. Waterfall stopped. He stopped crying. He stood up and he face to face with me now. And I'm sitting here like this with the Bible. I remember the room turning red and I remember his eyes turning marble fucking black. He said, you're not leaving me. You can't leave me. Like, you stuck with me. And I said, no, I'm leaving. Like, whatever you got on me, it ain't gonna work. I'm leaving. And the first thing I'm doing is to get this shit up off of me is leaving. I'm not staying. That he stood there and looked at me like that for about 3 minutes. Scared me shitless. Now, I believe all of this stuff now because I done had real life demon encounters. I'm getting attacked by demons and all. Listen, y'all, I can't make this shit up if I try. So I think after he realized that he wasn't able to penetrate and have the control over me that he used to have, the demon came alive. That is when I found out I was sleeping with a goddamn demon. And I had no idea. It's been 5 years. But, like I said, I did not leave right away. And I finished school. And after I finished school, I ended up going back home. I went back home for 3 months before he talked me into coming back. So he talked me into coming back because I didn't cut off all communication at the time. Now it's 2013. My son is, you have to understand, my mom had my kids for about a year at this time. And I ended up going back. I stayed in the shelter. Before I got my place, I stayed in the shelter before I got in my place, and I got in my place and we moved in together. Of course, it's all the way on the other side of fucking town and nobody's driving out there to see me. But the difference in this time is my mom had just had me, for a long period of time. We have been doing this work now for about a year and a half on trying to get these spells, because it was multiple up off of me, right? So I'm not going in with the same mindset. Light an incense in my house and see what happened. Light a candle in my house and see what happened. I'm gonna have Bibles all up and through here. Me and my children are going to church every Sunday. This is on these. I'm putting up these stipulations in the beginning. So I go in with these stipulations because he's still this love spell is still sticking. Like, I couldn't shake him if I tried. He manipulated me and talked down on me so bad within those, I felt fat. Like, I'm gonna put in some pictures on what I looked like at the time. There was no reason for me to feel like I was fat. I felt like I was ugly. I felt horrible about myself on top of the postpartum. My postpartum lasted for about 2 years. So I was still in the postpartum kind of, but he had talked me back into moving to Wisconsin, and I left. I'm setting up rules. You are not allowed to cook. You are not allowed to do any of these things, right? And so because I kept this up, and I remember this was the summertime. I left in the summertime. I left Illinois in the summertime, moved back to Wisconsin. By October, something else had happened in between there. And I don't know what, I can't remember why I was even at home, but I went home for a certain period, so for a certain amount of time, for like a week or so. Y'all, I can't remember what the hell happened. Oh, one of my brothers were unalived, right? That's what happened. Oh my God, I don't know how I forgot that. Yeah, 2013, my brother was unalived, and we had to go back and help. It was my god brother, and I went back for that, and I would stay down there for like a week and a half with my family, and so he was still at home. But something changed when I got back. I got back home, and he did some shit to my apartment. So I realized all of the family photos we had, and of course he wasn't in none of these. It's just with me and my kids, because he never took pictures, right? But it was real homey, you could tell that a woman lived there. But he had put up my toothbrush. He had put up photos that I had out of myself and my children. He had bagged up my clothes and like put my clothes in a bag. But let me tell you something. He didn't know when I was coming home. He just knew that I was in town and went to Illinois for a funeral. He didn't know when I was coming back. So, and on the verge of this, when I came back, my sister was with me as well. Remember I told you my sister ended up seeing him face to face for the first time. And he was in there with somebody else. He was in there with his cousin. She walked up to the wrong person thinking that it was him, and it wasn't, because she ain't never seen his damn face before. And I was like, no, Danielle, that's not him, that's him. And she was like, oh. And she walked over to him like to make her presence known, like, how you doing? Because my sister's just like that. But, he didn't know that I was there, but I'm realizing all my stuff is put up. I'm like, what, like everything on the wall to this. So she was dropping me off back in Wisconsin, and she ended up leaving. My kids were with me. They came back home with me. But she, when she left, I'm looking around my apartment. I'm like, why is all my stuff put up? So I wait until his cousin leave, and I wait until he fall asleep. Because in the back of my head, I'm like, only one or two things. He up to something in the spiritual realm, or he had it over here this whole week while I was gone. Went through that damn BlackBerry. This is how y'all know this is old. Went through that damn BlackBerry, and I found the text messages of him and another girl, and the girl was in my house. So he put up my stuff to make it seem like that was his house and all of that stuff, right? By this time, I didn't put his name on nothing. When I moved in there, I didn't put his name on nothing. I knew better. Listen, I knew better, kind of, but I didn't do better, right? Because the love spell was still fully intact. It took me even after, but I'm gonna tell you, it took me like another 6 years to get the mental spell off of me, right? It's something that people don't tell you when you have a baby by certain people and they have a spell on you. It takes another 6 to 7 years to get that shit up off of you. It's crazy. So I ended up texting the girl, and I was like acting like I was him, saying like, oh yeah, you can come back. She not here. She never showed up. That kind of situation. So you can come back. She probably ain't gonna be here till tomorrow, so we can kick it tonight. So she showed up. And I kindly told her, now you can come help him pack his shit, because this is my apartment. He lives with me. You can come help him pack his stuff. And she was mad confused. And it was the girl that he had been cheating on me with when I was pregnant at the time. Like, probably the heifer that gave that where I got the damn STD from. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of that shit. Like, it was crazy. Another thing my mom told me to do in that process of like change the mirrors in an instant, she told me not to sleep with him. So I had been stopped sleeping with him. We wasn't doing nothing at this time, but he still had a mental hold on me. So I wake him up by cracking him over the head with a BlackBerry. Pow! Your girlfriend here, she finna help you get your shit. This is the first time he put his hands on me. And I had braids in my hair at the time. And like, he really just got an attitude. Y'all, he tried to take half of the sectional. Like, it was real bad. So I ended up putting him out, all that type of stuff. And she was mad confused, but she helped him I'm pretty sure that's where he went to, right? So now it is October of 2013. I remember this because the government was shut down. Obama was in office. Y'all remember that big government shutdown? And so he was coming to get the boys on the weekends, which is cool with me. I don't really, I'm not really tripping, right? I figured out how to go to war with the enemy and not fear anything, right? So it still was stupid as hell. I'm gonna say that. It still was dumb as hell. He probably shouldn't have had no contact with my kids at the time because the spell was still alive. So, but I remember it was October 2013. And this time he came, knocked on the door. Usually he'd just say, hey, I'm outside, and I take the kids outside. But this time he came and knocked on the door, and he was like, can I come in? And I was like, it depends. He's like, no, I really do need to have a conversation with you. And I was like, okay, we can have a conversation. And so he sat on a nook that I had in my dining room, and he was like, your mama is something serious. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, I ain't never met nobody like her. And I'm like, what? Okay. And he was like, he goes to break down what he came over there to tell me. And here's where it gets worse. So we are sitting there having a conversation, and my kids are asleep at the time because it was late. And he's sitting there, and he was like, you want to know why you were never comfortable in none of the houses that we went to, and why we had to keep moving? Because we had moved like 3 times when I was having them demon encounters. I moved like 3 times in 1 year because I was running away, not knowing that shit, they fucking follow you. And I was sleeping in the bed with one. Didn't even know. And I was like, no. I said, my mom gave me an inkling on what could have been happening. I said, but I don't really know. He said, yeah, it was me. And I said, what? He said, the reason why you couldn't get comfortable is because you were running from somebody, but it was me. And I'm like, okay, so what is this conversation for? Like, what we talking about? He says, you realize you couldn't get comfortable, and he said you were having demon encounters, right? Like, you was under spiritual attack. And I was like, yeah. I said, but I ain't never told you that. He says, you ain't have to tell me. I'm the one who put the spiritual attack on you. So by this time, I'm very uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, can you leave? Because I don't even want to have this conversation. He said, no, I just came over here to come clean. He said, because one thing I can't do, he said, I can't get around your damn mama. He said, I don't know what she is or what she do. He said, but I can't get around her. He said, I just came to come clean and let you know that you were not tripping. That you were not tripping. No, you were not in your right mind. He said, you ain't been in your right mind since about 2010, 2009. I'm like, what? He was like, because that's when it started. That's when I started to do what I do. Now, the crazy thing is if I could make this up, I would, but I could not make what the fuck was happening. I couldn't make it up. Like, I remember this shit so vivid. I remember what he had on and everything. I remember because I was sitting on the end of my sectional, and he was across the dining room on the other side of the table, and I had like a little nook right there, and he was sitting on top of that, and he was sitting there explaining these things to me. And for some reason I needed to hear this, because a part of me was like, girl, you were just naive and you were just stupid and you were just madly in love. But he told me to my face, right hand of God, he told me to my face that I was not tripping and that he was putting it in my food. He was putting it in, you know, where he got his incense from. Like he basically told me that he had a spell on me for these last 5-6 years. And he was like, you ain't never noticed? He said, you ain't never noticed, you know, how dark my eyes could get if I got mad. You've never noticed, you know what I'm saying, my facial features when I got mad. He said, you ain't never pay attention to it. I said, I ain't start paying attention to it until, you know, such and such. He said, yeah, he said, but let me tell you something. He said, your mama, he said, I ain't met nobody like her. He said, I ain't never had to go to war with anything such as your mama. He said, your mama, yeah, I can't get around her. He said, so I'm just coming to let you know you ain't got to worry about me no more. He said, because I can't get around your mama, and if I can't have you the way I want to have you, then I don't even want you. Y'all, he left after he told me basically that he was putting spells on me and that everything that I encountered was because he did it to me. Now, fast forward, my mom gets sick in 2016. She signs a DNR, and my mom passes in 2019. 2020, this man inboxes me from Facebook. I've never even been on his damn Facebook. Didn't even know he had one. So he waits until after my mom is deceased, gone, to reach out to me, to act like he wants to be a father to my child after this. That was 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It's been 7 damn years. Almost, well, about 6.5, 7, where he reaches out to me but it was after my mom passed, which means that for the last, I don't know how many years, he has been watching me. This is why around this time, around 2019, around 2020, I stopped posting pictures of my kids. That's why you don't see my kids on here. I stopped posting pictures of my kids. I try to be very aware about, you know, certain things, and I have to 100% stay prayed up. I cannot go a certain amount of time without doing that, right? But this is 2020. Y'all, the spell didn't. Then the crazy thing is, before my mom passed, she told me something. And she told me, you know, like, stay prayed up and to look over Taji, which is my youngest son. She was like, just keep an eye on him. She said, you need to keep an eye on yourself. She said, because I want you to understand something. Because you had a baby by this man, this now stays in your DNA. Like you share DNA with him for 7 years. She said, your 7-year mark ain't up yet. It's almost up. Y'all, I couldn't sustain a relationship. I think I was only in one after him. Yeah, I was only in one after him. And it was with another narcissist. And the only reason why I left is because he wouldn't let me go to church and he wouldn't allow no Bibles in the house. And I figured that this was all about the work. And he was somebody from Wisconsin. I felt like he was working with the man. So I got the fuck up out of there. So, you know, and he would do similar things to what, you know, my baby daddy would do to me, like lock me in the house, that kind of situation, or lock me in a room until I changed my mind. Like it was equivalent to that. And y'all, and she told me, she was like, just pay attention and pay very, very, very close attention to your baby. And in 2020, I'll be damned. A year after my mom is gone, a year, he waited a whole year. That man reached out to me on Facebook asking me for my phone number. I said, you can't have my phone number, but I'll give you my son's, because by this time my son is old enough. You know, he don't need to talk to me. I think my son was like, 10, maybe 9 at the time. You don't need to talk to me at all. I'll give you the phone number to him. And y'all, the shit was crazy. Now, I never allowed him to see my face. I never wanted him to see my face. I never allowed him to see my face. So when he would FaceTime my son, I would hear his voice, but he wouldn't hear mine because I never would speak out loud. And I never showed my face to him for reasons. Now, I want you to understand that in this process, after I went through this, I started to do my research on Juju, spell work, and I started to do. You weren't gonna get me again. I'm gonna be able to identify exactly what this is when it come up, if it ever was to come up. And now I live in the South, right? So you better know, because they'll get you, right? So he calls, and I hear him on the other side of the phone, and he's talking to my son, and he's talking about Jesus and talk. I promise you, in my body and in my entire being, talking about, yeah, I got saved, and I'm not into the stuff that I'm used to. He's saying it to my son as if he knows the fucking story. By this time, my son don't know the story. I didn't tell my son the story until about 2 years ago. My son is 13. Well, about to be 13 in January. I didn't tell my son this stuff. I didn't talk bad about this man. I never told my baby what I went through with his dad and his dad. I never told him that. After this, I had to explain, because he's trying to figure out what is wrong with his daddy and why he talking like this. When I mean it gets crazy. As I'm talking, this stuff is coming up. So the spell finally broke off of me. Well, yeah, it broke off of me completely in 2021. 2021 is when it completely broke off, where I got my confidence back, where I got my self-esteem back, where I got my mental capacity back. That is when it broke. And but in 2020, when he reached out, he was talking about, oh, he got saved, and there was nothing. Everything in my being was like, girl, he lying. Girl, he lying. I hadn't heard this man's voice in so long. I didn't want to see his face. I don't even know what the fuck he looked like right now. My son can tell you probably what he saw, but I didn't. I was not about to put my face on that camera in no way, shape, or form, right? Because I'm talking about a warlock. I'm talking about something that was, he was powerful, because my mom had to go to war, and it took 2 years for me to even leave afterwards, right? And then it took another 7 years just for me to get back to who I was. That is crazy powerful. And that was the end of it. After he stopped, after he realized that he wasn't going to be able to speak to me, and I was never going to show my face to him, you were never going to hear my voice, you were never going to do anything of that, he stopped calling my son. He only reached out to see if I was going to bite, because my mom wasn't here. Little did he know, I had became a prayer warrior my damn self. You're not gonna get me. 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, after this spell broke up off of me and my children, to be exact, I want you to understand something. My son had chronic asthma his entire life and had been hospitalized so much I can't even tell you. He hasn't had an asthma attack since 2020. Not one. After being hospitalized at least 3 times a year since the day he was born. He ain't had one since 2020. That's not a coincidence for me. Okay? Listen, I don't know what to say. I just going to say, like, you have to be careful, and you have to know who you are dealing with, and you have to, y'all can believe in God and y'all can believe in Jesus if you want to. I believe in him because I know what I've been through, and I know that it got me through one of the darkest times of my life, and I can talk about it now because I'm fully 100% out of it. And what happened after the spell broke off, I had to restart my entire life in a way, like, it's crazy. We would have to sit on live to talk about it one day to tell you everything that I've been through since the spell actually broke off of me. But that shit is real, whether you believe it or not. And at the time, I didn't believe it. I didn't even know it could happen to me. And somebody got me, unbeknownst to me, not even believing what was going on. But he got me, and he told me to my face that that's exactly what he was doing to me all these years. And in so many words, when he said that he couldn't get around my mama, and after he found out she had passed, it clicked to me. Had he never had that conversation with me, because he probably thought my mom was going to live a long time. My mom only lived a few years after that, right? She didn't live, maybe 6 years after that, she passed, right? Maybe he thought that she was going to be around for a long time. And I don't know how he got whiffed that my mom was passed. Probably because he'd been watching my Facebook. Like I said, he strategically waited until my mom passed. But if you knew what happened, but I ran into that spirit. He had a spirit following me. I ran into that spirit 3 other times after that. Like, I couldn't shake it. That's why I was like, I took a break. I took a 3-year break. That's why I took a 3-year break. I took a 3-year break because I couldn't shake that spirit, and I knew I had to do something to get it up off of me. My mom was no longer here, and I'm not even gonna say to get it up off of me because it broke completely off in 2020. And I remember, because I was on live one day on Facebook, and I just broke down and cried. And it was like, "Girl, what's wrong with you?" I said, I feel like something just left me, like something just got up off me, like it was a mental freedom and like I literally felt something, you know what I'm saying, like get up off me. And I just broke down crying on Facebook Live, and people thought I was like losing my mind. No, after that I had to 100% rebuild myself and find out who I was after that. In the last 3 years, that's what I've been doing. But he took everything that was a reminder, everything. I ain't got shit. I ain't got nothing. And now I'm sitting here telling this story, and it's just like, I'm understanding now. But yeah.
Okay, so now that you watched that, let's have the conversation. Just some quick disclosures as always for people who are new. Please do not spiritually or religiously condemn anybody in the comments or the content creators. We listen and we don't judge. Everybody is welcome, and we all have made mistakes, okay? So shout out to her for sharing her story. We all have, I feel like most of us anyway, have all been in certain relationships to where we're like, dang, I was dumb, dang, I was stupid. So this is not, anything I say is not towards her directly. That we're just simply using her story to see how we can grow and learn from it. So I'm so glad she shared her story so we can be able to do that. If I look down, I have some notes. It's on this other device that's about to die, so hopefully it don't die. So let's go ahead and talk about it, okay? So, red flags, okay? I wrote down so many red flags, y'all. First of all, I've said this before, us as women, we will literally ignore red flags like nobody's business, honey. We will, we will ignore red flags like nobody's business, okay? And like I said, no judgment because she was young. Our brains don't even physically develop until we're 26. So I be telling people, look, don't even get married, don't even have kids until after that age, because our brains ain't physically even developed yet. And even at that age, we still can be dumb, because it's like, even though it's physically developed, you still have like final retuning that gets done. And your brain is constantly always rewiring and always finalizing, okay? And always processing things. So it's like, I tell women, like, just wait, have fun, date, but just wait on kids and settling down, like marriage-wise, because I feel like your brain needs to physically develop first. That's just my personal opinion from my experience, unfortunately, okay, and other people's experiences as well. But I'm gonna name some of the things I wrote down. Like, first of all, not being allowed to cook or clean, okay? So he did not allow her to cook or clean. He was trying to keep her isolated. He had she had no access to her own debit card. She didn't have a key. She was when anytime she wanted to hang out with obviously her sisters, I'm assuming when she wanted to hang out with friends too, he would be like, oh, I don't want to come around, because he said that about her sisters. And when she was talking about her brother towards the end, he didn't want to be around, right? Like, what are you hiding? Okay, these are red flags, like major red flags that you have to look at spiritually. Like, we look at red flags of men of like, okay, physically, maybe certain things might be a red flag to you, or like, oh my gosh, financially things might be a red flag to you, or, just certain things like general red flags we look at sometimes, but sometimes people don't look at spiritual red flags. And I do want to tell you, spiritual red flags are something that you should look at as well. First of all, I've already told you, you don't want to date until you are at your highest frequency. That's point blank, period. Okay, when you're looking to settle down. If you're just want to have fun and mingle, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about those who want to attract their actual person. You don't want to do that if you are not ready to do that, okay? You need to be in alignment with your person, okay? So if you're at a lower frequency, meaning that you have mental, emotional trauma, maybe financial issues, you're not physically where you want to be at, you feel like, man, I need to lose some weight. Like, you know what I mean? If you're not where you feel like you need to be at, then you don't need to date, because you attract the same frequency that you are on, okay? Which brings me to another note that I wrote down, which was at the end, notice how she said, even after her baby daddy, she attracted somebody else who was similar to him. That just proves my point over and over again. I tell people, level up on every aspect before you date. And this is with the males and females. Physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, level up on every aspect to where you are 100%. Well, you ain't always got to be 100%, right? We're human. We're in the 3D. But I mean, like, to where you feel good and comfortable and confident enough within yourself to where you love yourself and you're so in love with yourself to where you don't really need a companion. Like, if a companion come on, he's an add-on, and he's also a reflection of you. It's going to be a frequency thing of the more you love yourself, that same frequency will attract back to you. Okay? Now, does that mean that every single relationship and situationship, every single person you meet that might turn into a potential relationship or situationship is going to be the exact same frequency? Absolutely not. But I will tell you, if you do that inner work, you will attract way more quality men. And this is not just based off of what I say. It's literally based off of what other people have said as well. If you ever listen to people's testimony about how they finally attracted their husband or their boyfriend, their partner, etc., there's tons of them, thousands of them on YouTube. They will tell you straight up the same thing that I'm telling you. Like, they worked on themselves, and then right when they wasn't expecting it, that's when they attracted their person. It wasn't even a person who they expected to attract. Some of them have known that person all their life. Some of them, they're new people, but it's just not who they expect. And it's definitely not at the time they expect. It's right at the time when they are truly loving themselves. Like, my story, my personal story is on my personal channel, which is again going to be linked in the comments below. And it says how I manifested my fiance. That's the same exact story. I wasn't expecting it to be him, and I wasn't expecting it to be the time that it was neither, y'all. I was like completely starting my YouTube journey and just like focused on me working out, like fasting. I was at that time period, and then boom, he popped up. And then after time, I realized, oh my gosh, I attracted this person. This is the person who I attracted. So you have to level up on every aspect and every frequency. And I'm bringing this up because that's the reason why she attracted, I feel like, the person who she attracted. She was like, he was just like him. He was showing signs of him, you know. So again, if you don't work on yourself, that's what happens after a breakup. Notice this, and notice people who always have a boyfriend and pay attention to their relationship cycles and patterns. A lot of them end up healing what I call the cheating way, to where they, like, in order to get over their last person, they just get up under a new person. And it's not even like a quick hookup thing. Like, they just get up under a new person and immediately start a new relationship. Okay. And when you do that, that's the cheating way of healing. You're not fully healing how you should be. The successful way is to take some time out for yourself. If you need to get therapy, get therapy. I always tell people to go on a fast. Like, it's very good to go on a spiritual fast and cleanse yourself from whatever person who you dealt with previously. I do that every time now. Like, I don't need to now, obviously, but I mean, like, in the past, when I was dating after my divorce, when I started dealing with certain people, I just went on a fast to cleanse myself. Like, especially, you know, because you're intimate with these people, and, you know, you share like certain things with these people, energies and all of that. Okay. So we know about trauma bonds. We know about all that kind of stuff. So most of us, so you want to cleanse yourself after certain people. So I definitely went on a detox. I went on a fast and all of that. So, you know, you want to level up. You want to work on yourself. I started working on my finances. I started working on my passions more. I started just focusing on being a mom. And like I said, eventually I attracted my person. So you do want to level up on every aspect you can level up in. And the reason you want to do that is because you don't want to be on a low frequency of, I need a person because of this. Okay. Me speaking as a woman, I'm going to say, I need a man for financial support, or I need a man to emotionally and mentally fulfill me. When you are on those frequencies, you attract other people who are on that frequency. It's almost like y'all hear each other's radio call, right? Because you're on the same frequency. But if you're not and you're on this frequency, you're going to hear people as well on this frequency. So Doesn't mean that some don't dabble from time to time and get lucky, but you will attract more high quality, high frequency people when you really work on yourself. Trust me. Okay. So that's why I say that. I feel like she probably dated way too soon after that. Okay. Another thing that I've noticed that I wrote down is that she said her son, if I'm not mistaken, she said her son was 1. I think she had a child before she met him. Now, I could have heard that wrong, but I think she said she had a child before she met him who I think was 1. Okay. Now, I'm not going to speak too much on it because I don't know for sure. I was trying to get clarity on it, but I think that's what she said. And if she did say that, and this is not just for her directly, this is just in general, because again, I don't know if she said that or not. You also want to be careful dating too soon, okay? Especially when you have small kids, because not only are you going to be impacted if this goes wrong, but your children will also be impacted as well. Now, I'm a person who don't believe like, oh, your child has to be a certain age for you to date. I feel like low vibrational people are low vibrational people. They're going to be that way regardless of how old your children is. You still have to worry about your grandkids. You're going to family functions, your niece and nephews, etc. You know what I mean? So like, cause some people say that because of predators and stuff. I'm more so like, how about we go on the frequency and page of like not attracting low frequency people, and predators and things of that nature can only live in low frequency fields. So that's a whole nother discussion and conversation. But what I was saying though is you want to be careful when it comes to that, okay, as well. So if that is the case with her, and even if it's not just with people in general, you want to make sure you are truly healed over your last person, over your last situation, okay? So that might be a little bit too soon. Again, I don't know. I don't know the facts surrounding that and if it was a previous relationship, but make sure the timing is correct, okay? It's always going to be in divine timing anyways, okay? So you might think, okay, I'll be ready to date in 6 months, a year, but God might be like, no, you'll be ready to date around 3 years if you do the work, okay? So I always tell people, don't listen to influencers, your friends, your family. You ain't gotta listen to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, go to God directly when it comes to your love journey. I always have said that because people go to everybody and everything else but God. Only God knows your specific journey when it comes to love. So don't seek your own understanding or your own timing. Like, oh, well, as soon as I go through this, I'll do this. Or as soon as no, go to God, especially when it comes to love. Your love journey is a spiritual journey. When you are trying to track your person, not like hookups, but when you're trying to track your person, that's just part of your spiritual journey. So you want to go to God directly for that. Okay. It's in God's timing, not your timing. Okay. So that is another thing that I wrote down. Let me take a look and make sure I'm not missing anything with the little notes that I have here. So another thing is knowing people up front. I noticed that she did not know his background, y'all. She didn't even know he was Haitian. And if I'm not mistaken, she didn't even find out he was Haitian until way later in relationships after she got pregnant and stuff. Now, I'm not saying like, oh, let's discriminate and be judgmental towards all Haitians or anything like that. But I think it's nice to know people's background, to know like what they might have access to or knowledge of. You know what I mean? Like, him being Haitian, not saying all people obviously of Haitian background like practice obviously witchcraft, like that would be silly to say. But I think that maybe if she knew that, maybe her intuition would have went off a little bit of like, so I wonder if he knows how to do this, or I wonder if he knows how to do that. You know what I mean? So certain stuff like that. She said, her mom, even though her mom was a praying mom, this was at the beginning of the video, even though her mom was a praying mom, she believed that because she didn't really believe in witchcraft, she believed that she couldn't be touched. Okay, honey, I'm so glad she said this, because she is not the only one. It's multiple people who believe this, okay? And I have said before, just because you don't believe in, because people will say this about karma, just because you don't believe in karma don't mean karma don't believe in you, baby. Don't mean that you won't be affected by karma or you won't be affected by witchcraft. Now, it does now, when it comes to the intensity of it, it does depend on the situation, who you got in your corner. Like she said, what you going up against, it does depend on all of that kind of stuff. But multiple people who have practiced witchcraft, heavy witchcraft, I'm talking about celebrity witches, that dude who turned into a pastor that was on my channel, that it was on my channel. I think the video was called I Sold My Soul to the Devil or something like that. You know what I mean? But it's on my channel. And he's like a known pastor now. He turned into a pastor. They said things of like when they was practicing witchcraft, they know what they can and what they cannot do. And this is when it comes to like bad intentions. Okay, I've said before, like, I'm not a religious person, so I don't believe that all spiritual practices are bad. I believe that some people use certain things to help people, like holistic ways to help people that people would consider witchcraft. So I'm not that kind of person, like, oh, that's witchcraft, that's no, I'm not that kind of person. But I will say that you know, just because you don't believe in it don't mean it does not affect you, okay? And matter of fact, with her mom being a praying mom, I feel like the devil, if anything, is going to try to attack you and your family more. I've said before on my channel, I said the black sheep kids, baby, we have it the most. We the one who go through the most growing up because we are part of something bigger. We are part of the lights of this world. 9 times out of 10, if you tapped in how you're supposed to tap in, you would have figured out your journey. You would figure out why you went through everything you went through as a child. It's because, like they say, God gives his strongest battles to his, you know, strongest people or whatever it was. And that really is the case. Like somebody weak-minded or somebody who can't handle that capacity, then you wouldn't be ready for it. But God has like God's own army of like people to where, okay, I need you to spread this light in the world. I need you to, you know what I mean? So we go through the most as like black sheeps of the family. So of course, won't be surprised if like the devil also sends his team to mess up your, not only you, but try to mess up like your children and people who are like more up under you that you love and care about, especially kids that are such innocent beings, you know what I mean? So her mom being as powerful as she is and as praying as she is, I'm not surprised that the devil sent, you know, his obviously his part of his army to attack her. And I guarantee her boyfriend was part of his doing of like, yeah, let me send him her way so he can get her off track, you know what I mean? And her being so infatuated, like in the relationship and so in love and so blinded. And I believe her because I've been there. You know, when she kept saying like, listen, I was dumb at this age, like I was blind. Girl, 100% understand because baby, my divorce story is on this channel. And baby, I didn't wake up until I was about 30. And I was like, what am I doing? Like I was so like, what am I doing? The heck is wrong with me? Like I do not gotta put up with it. Like, for real. So I understand and I get it. Like I was really going through domestic violence and I really did not see, like I literally labeled it as like normal ups and downs. So when I tell you, I understand completely what she means when she was like, I was so blind, please don't judge. Like I understand that. I get that. And the important picture now is that you're out now safely and you were able to grow from it, from what it looks like. Okay. So, we, you know, when it comes to that, that is the situation, that is the case. He gave her an STD while she was pregnant. Huge red flag. A woman being pregnant is the most precious and fertile time of her life, honestly. One of the most, because it's like we are in a way disabled. So it's like we're not able to do certain things when we are with child, when we're carrying child. It's like the most vulnerable time. So I've always had to second look at men twice when you will literally do something while somebody is carrying your seed. Your seed lives in there. So that means that that environment of that seed needs to be nurtured and taken care of, or you don't give a dang about your seed. I don't care how nobody feels about that. Like, that is just crazy to me that people will do stuff like that. Like, that's wild. Which doesn't, you know, it doesn't mean that you should do that when she's not pregnant, but I'm just saying, like, it's even more wild for you to do that when she is literally carrying your child. And the stuff that women have to go through, baby, to push a baby out. Psh. Well, that's why us as women, we got to make sure men are worth it. Like, honey, if I could redo some of the mistakes, I ain't going to say I would because it wouldn't make me who I am now. But baby, just some of these men is not worth you carrying a child for. And if you've been through labor and all that kind of stuff, you probably know exactly what I mean by that. Some of these men just was not even worth it. They ain't worth it. Not everyone deserves to be able to be a father. Okay. Now another thing I did want to mention is that she said that he was on part 4 that he was like the perfect gentleman at first, like he always took her out and all this kind of stuff, and then once she got pregnant, he switched up on her. I need people to understand this, okay? Please understand this, because I have said this before when I covered like the DDG and Halle Bailey situation on my channel before. I need y'all to understand this because I see the most ignorant content in regards to like women choosing certain partners in their life, and I literally see people victim blaming so many women when it comes to like their husbands or even baby daddies, etc., who were in domestic violence relationships, okay? And I be like, and I just personally feel like if you do not have no knowledge when it comes to domestic violence, you should not speak on it. If you don't know how many women out of 4 women are known to be in domestic violence, don't speak on it. If you don't know the statistics regarding domestic violence, don't speak on it. If you don't know how many times it takes for a victim to leave her abuser, don't speak on it. If you don't know the cycle of domestic violence, don't speak on it. Because the stuff that I hear, like, oh, there was red flags. I mean, she should have left when she knew the red flags. There ain't no way they automatically turn that way overnight. Da 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 da. When people can't be more wrong, more wrong when it comes to domestic violence. Now, I agree. Like I said before, women, we are so dumb when it comes to red flags. Okay, but first of all, we have to consider our brain does not even develop until we are in our like mid to late 20s, and it only physically develops at that time. Then at that, it still does final retuning. Okay, look into the brain. It still does final retuning. Okay. Secondly, I don't know what makes people think that abusers are people like in domestic violence. I don't know what makes people think that they are these like monsters from day one. Sweetheart, again, make sure you do your research. They are not that way from day one. You think if a abuser shows up on the first date, punches her in her face, she gonna stay with them? No, it does not work that way. It is a cycle, people. It is a cycle, okay? They show up as the most perfect Prince Charming person ever. They will literally, what is the word I'm looking for? I know the word. It's like at the tip of my tongue. I ain't gonna say it's like part of the narcissist cycle to love bomb. They will literally love bomb you up front. I'm talking about gifts, nice dinners, vacations, all that kind of stuff up front to get you in. And somebody who does not have the proper knowledge and guidance of what a proper healthy male and female relationship looks like, if people did not grow up with a healthy, I'm not talking about just a physical relationship in the house, I'm talking about like a healthy like relationship in front of them with their mother and father. If they did, especially the women, if they grew up and did not see what it's like for a man to treat a woman, be provided for from a woman, what healthy love looks like from her dad giving it to her mom or a woman in front of her, etc. She didn't grow up experiencing that and seeing her mom being loved and properly treated how she needed to. That goes back to daddy issues. I have a whole playlist on that, okay? But the father is supposed to show his daughter that from day one. So if he never shows her that, if he doesn't give her what she needs, then she will go out there and find that the best way that she thinks possible. And this opposite when it comes to men and their mothers, okay? Same issues, all right? Romantically, it's always going to be the opposite. So men, mothers, daughters, fathers, okay? So if there was any type of issues there, then guess what? They're going to go out there and do it the best way they know how to, which unfortunately a lot of times end up in toxicity, okay? So with that being said, if this man shows up, provides for her like her father didn't, care for her like her father didn't, love on her like her father didn't, guess what she's going to do? Fall in love with that person. Little things are not going to go off in her head like, oh, my dad never talked to me like that, or my dad never did. No, she might see little red flags, but it's not going to compare to all the good that he's doing at that time. Now, right when he feels like he got you in, and I'm only saying he because I'm a woman, okay? Domestic violence is both genders, okay? Girls or males can be abusers. But once he got you locked in, that's when he shows his true colors, okay? Again, it is a whole cycle please study it. Like, that's when they show their true colors. Sometimes they don't even show that until they get you pregnant and locked right in, right? Notice how she said that he switched up the moment that he found out she was pregnant. He got her. He ain't gotta show that kind of love and affection, attention no more. Take her out to dinner. He ain't gotta do that no more. He got her. She pregnant, okay? Sometimes they don't do that till you're pregnant. Sometimes they don't do that till you're married, okay? But realize it does happen. It is a cycle, okay? So please learn that, and stop assuming that just happens up front, because that is not always the case. Most of the time, it's not the case. Look into domestic violence cycles and case studies, okay? It's not the case, all right? You know, and people will, another thing I want to talk about, which is like the last thing, because I think I mentioned all of this, people will encourage you to, like, just because you have, like, for example, children with the person, like her, she had children with him. So people will, of course, encourage you, like, oh, go be with your family, go stay with your family. Like, statistically, it says this, blah, blah, blah. But what a lot of people fail to mention is statistics is only be based off of healthy households, okay? So that don't mean that you should be encouraging her to go back to her toxic baby daddy or toxic boyfriend or, you know, abusive husband. Like, no, those studies are based off of healthy households. They are not based off of toxicity. Matter of fact, if there's any type of domestic violence, any type of drug abuse, any type of things of that nature, the statistics are actually opposite. The children tend to have opposite effects when it comes to those kind of households, okay? I know this because I've studied this, okay? My education's in psychology. I've worked in a research treatment facility. Plus, I really took time to study this because I wrote like a book on fatherless daughters. Okay, so that is all I have to say though when it comes to this. I'm so glad she is out of that situation. Don't want to make this video too long, but y'all let me know what y'all think. Hopefully y'all found this informational like I did. This was fun to talk about. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.